Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
P. Diddy be wanting a party, and you gotta tell him no. And when Danny Masterson want a party, you gotta tell him no as well. And Cat Williams might have told Diddy no, but you know who didn't? Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher never told Diddy no. Ashton Kutcher never told Danny Masterson no. And that's why Ashton and Mila are canceled. At least that's what an article that I'm going to share with you guys has to say. You know, contrary to popular belief, Scientology, a far cry from being the religion of the celebrities, has become a well-known international multi-billion-dollar family destroying human trafficking cult that celebrities in Hollywood would be well served to steer clear of, put some meaningful distance between them and Scientology, and even perhaps some of Scientology's celebrities. Certainly that would have been beneficial for people to do with Danny Masterson. Now we're looking at Ethan Suplee, the Scientology connections to Diddy at this point. So actually, let me look at it this way. Ashton's, the Scientologist connections to Diddy run through Ashton Kutcher and Leonardo DiCaprio. And the Scientology connection to Ashton Kutcher was primarily Danny Masterson and all of Danny Masterson's friends. But then on the Leonardo DiCaprio side of things, you have Ethan Suplee. So Ethan Suplee was the Scientology connection to Leonardo DiCaprio. The Scientologists that were involved in Leonardo DiCaprio's life were pretty much all the ones who were Ethan Suplee's crowd. And all the Scientologists who were in Ashton Kutcher's life were basically all the ones who were in Danny Masterson's crowd. And those were largely the same crowds. What's amazing to me is that you have all of these Scientologists connected to Diddy, the Scientology verse and the Diddy verse, connected through Ashton Kutcher and Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, at least Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't silly enough to set up a nonprofit organization purporting to protect people from trafficking. Like a little bit on the nose there, Ashton, a little bit on the nose. One of your best friends is a rapist. The other one is a sex trafficker. And you've got a nonprofit set up to protect people from sex trafficking. Like, okay, I don't know. Seems a little crazy. And maybe what both of these folks, but what both Ashton Kutcher and Leonardo DiCaprio have in common is they have left the country. Now, are they just on vacation or are they waiting to see what's going to come down? Because you know Diddy's got to be rolling over on absolutely everybody right now. I mean, that is my opinion. Diddy's got to be rolling over on absolutely everybody. He's not going to take the easy way out on this. Now, for Diddy, the easy way out is to roll over on everybody. He's not going to take the easy way out that Jeffrey Epstein took, or he's not going to be pushed down that easy route, in my opinion. Okay, let's see what this article here has to say. This is going to be a pretty quick video, you guys. By the way, this is going to be a wild week for SPTV. I hope you guys are buckled up. We are going to have a lot of fun this week. So much content coming starting this evening, and for the rest of the week, it's going to be absolutely slammed. But I figured we got to start. We got to kick the week off with just some lighthearted fare, and that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about Ashton Kutcher. Okay, why Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have been frozen out of Hollywood. Spoiler alert. It's because of all the raping and sexual abuse that these guys are connected to. Okay, they say that LA is the city of dreams, but Ashton Kutcher and Mila, in Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis's case, it's becoming the stuff of nightmares. The married pair are seriously considering a fresh break in the hopes that they can finally put an end to the backlash that's being railed against them following a series of very serious public faux pas. They want to get the heck out of LA and make a new life somewhere else. They've seen their social standing fall dramatically over the past year. They still want to work, but moving away from the bubble and just dipping back in for specific projects makes the most sense right now. Okay, I'm going to skip some of this. Last year, the couple sparked outrage after they both wrote letters in support of their former That 70s Show co-star, convicted rapist Danny Masterson. In 2023, Danny Masterson was found guilty of 2 counts of rape, which took place while Ashton and Mila were both working with him between the years of 2001 and 2003. For the record, the rapes that Danny's have been accused of, he might have been convicted of just 2 of the 3 rapes he was charged with. But victims have come forward and testified. No less than 8 victims have claimed to have been raped by Danny Masterson. Multiple decades, multiple states, multiple countries, Canada. And that's the ones we know of, guys. So let's not make the mistake of thinking that there's only 2 incidents that are relevant to the conversation. Okay. Despite Danny Masterson's conviction, Ashton and Mila lobbied for leniency ahead of his sentencing. He was eventually imprisoned for 30 years. Correction. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. It just so happens he will be eligible for parole after 30 years. It was 15 years to life for each one of his convictions. Okay. Ashton, in separate letters, Ashton wrote that Danny Masterson was an extraordinary, honest, and intentional human being. Okay. Mila then doubled down on the controversial support, praising Danny Masterson's exceptional character and the tremendous positive influence he's had on those around him. Unsurprisingly, their support for the rapist kindled global fury, forcing the couple to step down from their positions at the charity Thorn, which Ashton previously co-founded in 2009 to help fight child sex exploitation. In a subsequent apology video, they said they support all victims, but their apology fell on deaf ears, with many saying it seemed disingenuous. Since then, there's been a frosty feeling towards the Kutcher Kunises in Los Angeles, despite the perennially hot climate. But last month, feelings towards them went from cold to sub-zero after Ashton's longstanding friendship with P. Diddy, whose real name is Sean Combs, came to the fore. Amid the latter's almighty reckoning and eventual arrest, there's no suggestion that Ashton ever knew about the crimes that have now been leveled against the disgraced rapper. Really? Is there no suggestion? I think it is absolutely impossible for Ashton Kutcher to not have known about the activities and the allegations that are now coming very, very public. It's pretty clear that people in the industry have known this has been going on for a long, long time, including people who are not friends of Diddy, like 50 Cent, for example, Eminem, for example. So if people who are not his friends know all about Diddy's dirty laundry, then I think it's safe to assume that people who were his close friends for decades know the same dirty laundry. All right, let's keep going. Oh, what's happening? Oh my God, this whole thing just reformat on me. Okay, it says there's no suggestion that Ashton ever knew about the crimes that have now been leveled against the disgraced rapper. But the fact that he was known to attend his famous parties, which were apparently the breeding ground for almost all of his criminal activity, has rattled a lot of the actor's fans and friends in LA. What's more, historic comments made about Combs, who he said he became fast friends with after meeting him in 2003, now sound all the more sinister as we continue to hear about the rapper's heinous crimes, making Ashton and Mila's position in Hollywood all the more untenable. Ashton is so exasperated that once again, he's being dragged through the mud because of his past associations. Our insider explains, God damn it, why do I keep being held accountable for my friends who are rapists and traffickers? Guys, I've been seeing comments. Is Diddy being accused of murders as well? Is that true? Can you guys let me know in the live chat or the comment section for the replay? Are people accusing Diddy of having actually been involved in murders? So you got rapists, you got sex traffickers, you got murderers. Why do people keep asking me questions about all my friends? It's unbelievable. Okay. First, it was Danny Masterson. Now it's Diddy, and it's got him convinced that there are way better places out there to live than Hollywood. In his view, the town is just a cesspool at this point. He and Mila both realized what a mistake it was writing those letters of support. They understand why they were in hot water and have taken full responsibility for their poor judgment. I'm not so sure about that. But what they have a harder time accepting is this culture of scapegoating and negativity that seems to be so pervasive these days. God, if only there wasn't so much footage out there of Ashton Kutcher saying what a great guy Diddy is and how he's literally like, the wet dream of any young single man in Hollywood to be friends with Diddy because of all of his parties. And then you've got all the video of Diddy telling Conan how to throw a good party, and it includes locking the door. God, Ashton, I mean, if only there wasn't all this evidence of you claiming that all these horrible, horrible people are such great, great people. People who you've known for decades. God, it's got to be tough, Ashton. It's got to be tough. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. It gets better. Okay, Ashton is being crucified, and all sorts of conspiracy theories are swirling around him simply because he attended parties at Diddy's house years ago. He finds the blame game exhausting, and it makes him just want to opt out of the whole celebrity thing entirely. Oh, poor fella. While Ashton and Mila have been biding their time and letting the dust settle on their associations with Danny Masterson, the P. Diddy issue is all the more concerning as the charges consistently roll in. Last month, the 54-year-old was arrested in New York City and was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution. In an indictment, it was also alleged that he had engaged in kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, and other crimes. He had acted as a leader of a criminal group that abused women and violently coerced them into participating in elaborate and produced sex performances with male prostitutes, much of which is said to have occurred at his infamous parties. God, if only there weren't photos of these two hanging out all the time, going for jogs together. You know, there was in the last video that I did about Ashton Kutcher, I played a 2-minute segment of Ashton and Diddy on the Late Late Show with James Corden, and they were telling this story of how you know, they were such good friends that like Ashton just called Diddy over to help him go on a morning jog, and it just occurred to me like, how many grown men call their buddy over to go out on a morning jog? I can think in my entire life, and for a good portion of my life, I've kind of been a medium to long distance runner. So there have been periods in my life where I'm running miles a day or miles a week. And I can tell you, even as a runner, I can think of only one occasion in my entire life where I actually called a buddy over to go on a run. And it's because we were actually semi-competitive runners. I just think their story about just going on a light, brisk morning jog together. I think that anecdote reveals more about their friendship than might be obvious on the surface. They're morning jog friends. That's a certain level of friendship, you guys. Okay. Sadly for Ashton, he's simply one of many celebrities who's known to have frequented said parties in the past, but he's one of the few who's spoken out about them publicly. In 2019, while appearing on Sean Evans' Hot Ones, the actor laughed, "I've got a lot I can't tell. I've got a lot I can't tell about the parties. I mean, I'm actually cycling through them. Diddy party stories, man. That was like some weird memory lane." Yes, poor Ashton Kutcher just happens to be connected to so many rapists, traffickers, perhaps murderers. And why doesn't everybody just ease up on the guy? You know, it must be tough. It's tough out there on the mean streets of Hollywood. It's not easy out there for a pimp, you guys. And Ashton, as more info rolls out, who knows? Ashton just might turn out to be an actual pimp. I don't know. Is Ashton also out of the country? I think I might have inferred that into this article, and it didn't actually say that. The article might have implied that he's just kind of wants to live outside of LA or Hollywood or California. Maybe he's not out of the country. If I got that wrong, I apologize. Okay, let's go through some of the starred comments here, and we'll wrap this one up. Failed pessimist. Ashton's cancellation has been coming for far too long. The time has come. Kylie, did you hear about Ashton's connection to the former CEO of Abercrombie? I'm sorry, but this man is friends with way too many rapists, abusers, and traffickers. You know, I'm totally out of the loop on all of the Abercrombie stuff. Is this, someone let me know in the live chat. Is this from a Netflix documentary? I know there's something that's exploded recently about Abercrombie, but I have no idea what it is. But I've been seeing it a lot in the comment section. I can tell there's something going on that I'm not aware of. Okay, LS, aka Chester's mom. Good to see you, Chester's mom. These two bother me so much. Their support of Danny Masterson said it all for me. Yeah, I think that really was the tip of the iceberg. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think the reason Ashton Kutcher stepped down so quickly from his position at Thorne is because he saw how much outrage there was for merely having written a letter. Now, don't get me wrong. If people knew what the real deal was with Ashton and Danny Masterson, there would have been a lot more to be outraged about. But the moment the public, the only information the public had was Ashton and Mila wrote letters asking for leniency against Danny Masterson, and the outrage was monumental. I think Ashton knew, oh my God, if the public is outraged about this, just wait. I better step down now when it looks like this is what I'm stepping down for. That is what I believe happened there. Jason Moning, they're in a country that has no extradition laws. Really? Are they in Brazil? Are they in Argentina? Where are they? Kylie says they're pulling a Roman Polanski. They'll probably be joining him in France soon. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Kelsey Ariano, thanks for keeping me company on a boring Tuesday. Thanks for keeping me company, Kelsey. Thanks for jumping into the live chat. I appreciate it. Mark Pickering, what do you know about Juliette Lewis? Oh, I had Juliette Lewis was one of the topics of discussion in my interview last week on Thursday with Dale Wheatling. So please check out that interview. Juliette Lewis is a hot mess. There's a lot to talk about there. And you know what? Let me just pull up my list of video topics. I'm gonna start putting together some talking points on Juliette Lewis, because you know what I have absolutely no patience for? These dyed-in-the-wool dedicated Scientologists pretending in the press that they're not Scientologists, and even going so far as to pretend that they're Christians, absolutely infuriates me. So Juliette Lewis, you're on the list now. We'll figure that one out. Ross Shin, since you've started talking about the Masterson mess, I can't stand to watch anything with Ashton. It makes me puke. Yeah. A bunch of you out there emailed me links to a video that was done on another channel. Ooh, if I try to look for it right now, I'm not going to be able to find it. That was bringing to the forefront the information about Ashton Kutcher having found his girlfriend's body in her home when he went to go pick her up for a date for a Grammy, or either the Grammys or a Grammy party. And that woman's killer was eventually found. I think he's known as the Hollywood Ripper. And Ashton's statements to the police and Ashton's statements on the stand were lies. And Jane Doe 3 in the Danny Masterson trial, publicly known as Chrissy Carnell-Bixler, went public with the information that she was sitting next to Danny Masterson in their car, and Ashton was on speakerphone, when he called Danny Masterson after having already spent an hour on the phone with Ashton, after Ashton had already spent an hour on the phone with his own manager, trying to decide whether he should call the police about having just found the dead body of the girl he was about to go out on a date with in her home. And the decision was made that Ashton's career was way too delicate to put up with the potential scandal of being associated with a murder. And instead of calling the authorities, and instead of doing anything that would be considered moral and ethical in that situation, he just instead went to the party by himself and left the premises, left the body there to be discovered by someone else, for someone else to report to the police. That to me, that conduct betrays a deep, deep sickness, a true, honest to God sickness. And since then, he's doubled down, he's tripled down, he's quadrupled down with his public lies. That he never went in the house that night. He did not see her body. He did not know she was in there. He thought he saw wine stains on the carpet. Guys, how much blood must have been on the carpet for him to have been able to observe it and conclude it was spilled wine? And honestly, if I'm going to pick up a girl for a date and I'm looking in the window and I see what I believe to be spilled wine on the carpet, I'm assuming there's an accident has still taken place. I'm still going inside. And that's the thing. Ashton did go inside. But he lied about that. He says he didn't go inside. See, this is where, like, even his story to me is like, dude, if that's the story, I think you would have gone inside. Anyway, so, if he's lying about something as unbelievable as that, all this other stuff, just kind of par for the course. Tina Teeden, I stopped watching The Ranch. I never watched that 70s show, not even one episode. I've never seen one episode of The Ranch, actually. And I have seen a bunch of episodes of that 70s show, but it's hard to watch now. It really is. I never had any interest whatsoever in watching The Ranch. But The Ranch, that's where now you've got Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson and Ethan Suplee all coming together on one show. Jason Lee back in that day was another one of the Scientologists that was in that orbit, the Danny Masterson, Ethan Suplee orbit. All these guys are connected to Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Diddy. It's crazy. And that means a lot of the information that's coming out about the Diddler and the Diddleverse already exists and has existed for decades in the auditing files, the Scientology auditing files of these Scientology celebrities that have been wrapped up in all this. Scientology has known about this shit for decades, but they don't even report crimes. They don't report crimes to the police. The only crimes Scientology or Scientologists will ever report to the police is crimes against their own members by non-members. Crimes against their own members by their own members will never be reported. Crimes against their own people, against non-Scientologists, will never be reported. So all of this potentially blackmail material has just been sitting in those files for decades and decades and decades, and might just explain why some of these celebrities don't leave Scientology. Okay, Ren listens. Diddy going down, every sicko going with him. God, I hope so. I truly hope so. Blondie Locks, I haven't trusted Ashton since he was at the trial of Ashley Ellerin. There you go. That was the woman I was just speaking about. And Ashton was at her house and claims he saw spilled wine, touched the doorknob, etc. Never bought that story. Yeah, it was a total lie. Candace, LA needs to be cleaned up, but they are two people who need to be canceled. I speak from personal experience. I know how much these people are heartless and sick. Wow. Thank you, Candace. Caroline H. Ashton must regret his big mouth. He thought it made him look cool and in the in crowd, but now it's biting him in the ass. Yep. DJ Alessino, did y'all see that Ashton was an Abercrombie male model and worked for Jeffries? The old creep recently sued for similar charges to the Diddler. There you go. Yeah, we just discussed that. Rebel Girl Media. Yes, Diddy has been accused in Kim Porter's alleged book draft of poisoning not only her, but a lot of guys that tried to date her. And Jamie Foxx's recent health scare. What? I remember how crazy that was when Jamie had, this near-death experience and then came out and neither him nor his family nor his reps would say anything about what actually had happened to him. It sounded like he might have even actually kind of like died at one legally, heart stopped or whatever. I've never heard anyone say what actually happened. Are they saying that Diddy was tied to that? I got to read this book. Kim Porter's alleged book draft. Guys, can you let me know in the live chat? Is there an actual book or was it just a draft of a book that's now kind of parts of it are leaking out? Can you get this book? If you can, I got to get it. Samantha Clark, 2317. Would you consider doing a video of what it looks like inside the blue building? Like how many people are in there, a day in the life, etc. I would consider doing that. That would be interesting. In order to do that video, I'd probably have to find like some sort of floor, what do they call it? A floor map, some blueprints. I'd have to be, I would want to show people. Well, the blue building, by the way, the entire blue building, the main building, the V-shaped building with the Scientology sign on top, those are just bedrooms. Floor 2 through 8. Most of the time I was there, the tippy top floor was off limits. It was like in bad shape. Nobody could go up there. So I forget how many. Is there 6 floors? Is there 7 floors? It's all bedrooms. Except, and then you have like the giant cafeteria on the first floor and then some hallways and some offices. And then the basement level is like security offices and some other administrative offices. It's not very exciting, but I would consider doing a video about that. Thank you, Samantha Clark. Old Frizz, most importantly, that killer went on to murder someone else after. Ashton could arguably have prevented that if he'd reported. Exactly. Now it's arguable. It's debatable whether Ashton going to the police immediately would have allowed the police to catch that killer before he went on to kill others. But that's what I mean when I say that behavior, that reaction, the choice not to alert the authorities betrays to me such a deep level of sickness, because wouldn't that have factored into the equation, the mental math there? Hey, Someone has taken a life. Shouldn't I get the authorities involved as quickly as possible instead of waiting, 12 for someone to find her body in the morning? At which point, assuming the killer's going to try to get away, you can get pretty far away in 12 hours. Like, it's such a sickness not to take actions to stop a killer because you're afraid it might give you some bad press. Unbelievable. Jermaine down. I've missed your lives for months. So glad to catch one. Keep your pimp hands strong. Hashtag random motivational quote. Thank you, Jermaine. I appreciate it. And Madison, thank you very much. All right, guys, stay tuned. Like I said, later today and for the rest of the week, it's going to be wild up here in SPTV. It's going to be an exciting week. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here.